Welcome back to the haven of Real talk that is Turkish series stars. In a world where timelines race and rumors multiply by the minute, we slow down and listen for the heartbeat beneath the headlines. Tonight, we're not just covering a show or a pairing, we're tracing the arc of a connection that crept off the page and into daylight, quietly, insistently, and with a gravity no PR plan could choreograph. This is the story of a spark that audiences felt before the people living it dared to name it. The singular pull between Navruz and Alina. Before we pull the thread and watch this tapestry reveal its pattern, secure your front row seat in this community. Subscribe to Turkish series stars, tap the bell so you hear us the second a new chapter drops, and, if you believe in storytelling handled with care, consider hitting join. Your support fuels deep dives that honor the people at the center of the speculation. Now breathe in, settle your shoulders, and let's walk into the soft thunder of a truth that refused to stay off camera. It didn't begin with scandal. It started with a casting choice that felt, from the first call sheet, like the universe nudging two orbits into a single lane. When Navruz and Alina first met under the hum of set lights, the reaction wasn't immediate fireworks. It was a pressure change, a hush, a shared alignment that the most attentive viewers sensed before anyone dared to say it out loud. Audiences tuned in for a story and stayed for a frequency. As Serkan and Ida, they didn't just trade dialogue, they created a current. The teasing rhythm, the dueling gazes with histories implied, the stormy scenes that snapped like live wires, and the reconciliations that breathed relief into living rooms. What unfolded felt less like performance and more like discovery. People started asking the question that always follows an on-screen pairing that feels disarmingly real: are we watching two characters fall for each other, or are we witnessing two people trying not to show they already have? Social media did what it does when it locks onto a pulse. Edits multiplied, theories matured from whispers to dissertations, and slow-motion breakdowns of behind-the-scenes moments became a genre all their own. And Alina turned into a double-star trending fixture, a gravitational center around which fan accounts orbited with devotion. But the fame machine has a wicked duality: it amplifies admiration and sharpens intrusion. And against that wave, and Alina chose composure. In interviews, they offered praise without provocation, gratitude without confession, warmth without surrender. Their restraint was deliberate, almost architectural. They built a boundary line out of graciousness. Yet the quiet only made the chorus louder. With nothing concrete to grasp, speculation swelled. Paparazzi organized like a weather system, shadowing cafes, parking lots, studio gates, anywhere proximity might turn into proof. Entertainment desks made a sport of decoding micro-moments. A glance given a headline, a caption turned into a thesis, a coincidence elevated to evidence. One picture in the same frame could send timelines humming for days, and even the calmest denial couldn't reverse the current once it started flowing. And then the pitch of the conversation shifted. Not because of a red carpet stunt or a meticulously lit reveal, but because quiet things, when they are true, carve their own space. Whispers began along crew corridors and among journalists who pay attention to tone more than words. Had stopped dancing around the subject. He hadn't staged a confession. He'd done something subtler and, in a way, braver. He spoke without a mask. What counts as a confession from a man who guards his private life like a precious script? Is it a headline-ready declaration? Or is it the kind of sentence that lands softly and stays because it has no need for drama? Remember the pressure cooker that produces intimacy on set, the long nights, the repeated rehearsals of tenderness until the lines blur, the shared duty of carrying beloved characters, Serkan and Ida, on their shoulders while dodging the weight of expectation. When you're bracing a story of that size, you lean. You learn the other person's rhythm. You laugh from exhaustion and celebrate in whispers. There's a language only two people understand when the rest of the world is listening in. That is fertile ground for a shift from mutual respect to something gentler, sturdier, more private than either is willing to give over to the crowd. And Alina appeared to understand the value of that shift early, before the comment sections caught up. They moved slowly, as if refusing to let noise set their pace. They acted like two people who knew exactly what they were protecting. They declined to feed the spectacle, even as the spectacle tried to feed on them. Pause with me, Turkish series stars family. This isn't just a love story you can clip into 30 seconds, it's a mirror held up to the way we consume chemistry. When we ship a couple so hard we forget they're real, where is the line? Do our wants sometimes outpace their right to figure it out in peace? Drop your thoughts with care. Make this space the rare corner of the internet where nuance isn't a casualty. If this reflection sits right with you, send it a like so it travels further. For a long while, they avoided anything that could play as confirmation. Then their guards softened, not with fanfare, but with evidence that felt lived in. A picture that looked like memory, not marketing. A show of support during a week that tested patience. An appearance side by side on a night that didn't demand cameras, and yet, when cameras arrived, they didn't scatter. Fans watched it the way you watch a slow burn season. Patiently, breath held, certain that the arc was unfolding exactly as it should. Which brings us to the echo still reverberating across the fandom, the moment Alp recalibrated. There are clips now, snippets, interviews, candid exchanges, where his tone unmistakably shifts. He stops talking about a co-star like a coworker and starts speaking about Alina like a person whose soul he's learned by repetition and surprise. This wasn't promotional sugar. It was respect with roots. He described her empathy that doesn't announce itself, a discipline that steadies a scene, the way she catches the mood on set and steadies it without claiming the credit. Watch his face when her name comes up, gone is the media-trained grin. In its place is a smile that happens before he remembers the lens, a reflex born from truth. For fans trained to analyze micro-expressions like text, it was a shockwave. Picture the setup. A studio chair, warm lights, an interviewer leaning toward the inevitable. The question hangs, are you two more than partners in fiction? This time, Alp doesn't sprint to safety. He pauses. He chooses. He lets the answer be measured and real. Maybe he doesn't gift the tabloids with the 3 words they crave. But he does something more revealing. He says Alina matters to him outside the frame. He calls her his compass on noisy days, the first voice he wants when everything is too loud, the person whose talent sharpens his own and whose presence makes the hours gentler. He names her steadiness, her sly humor, and the way she keeps her own borders intact in an industry that eats boundaries for sport. He doesn't spin a fairy tale. He testifies. Once you hear that, the phrase "the truth about Alina Boz" feels different. It's not a gotcha headline. It's a portrait painted by someone who's watched closely and kindly. Intelligence that never condescends. A generosity that doesn't need spotlight. Feet on the ground, warmth on her own terms, and a backbone that refuses to bend for applause. Alp noticed. Alp cherished it. And by saying it out loud, without spectacle, he gave the public a window that didn't feel like trespassing. From a man who offers very little of his inner room to strangers, that felt intimate. The reaction was instant and incandescent. Timelines lit like switchboards. Fans, vindicated, stitched a patchwork of proof interview fragments given subtitles with care, set to music that burrowed under the skin. They laid Sirkin and Ida's finest beats side by side with new flashes of Alp and Alina, arguing by collage that fiction and reality had finally found the same rhythm. Not everyone agreed, of course. Skeptics surfaced, as they do, suggesting smart publicity or insisting that love should look louder, or quieter, or anything other than what it is. But skepticism loses steam when dignity is consistent. Alp and Alina did not cash in with easy content. They resisted the algorithm's appetite. They offered glimpses, not a live stream. They made one thing clear without pronouncing it: intimacy is not currency here. And so we come to the end of tonight's unraveling. The title you clicked wasn't bait, it was a promise we intended to keep. Alp did open a window. What came through wasn't scandal, it was substance. The truth about Alina, in his words, is a study in admiration sharpened by experience and softened by care. What captured millions wasn't a gimmick. It was two people taking a partnership audiences adored as Serkin and Ida and letting it echo, carefully, privately, beyond the mark. They didn't let the crowd write the ending. They wrote it themselves, sentence by quiet sentence. Thank you for taking this walk with us at Turkish series stars. If Alp's measured honesty resonated, share this with someone who values stories told without cruelty. Make sure you're subscribed, hit like so the conversation keeps traveling, and if you believe in the kind of storytelling that makes more room for grace, tap join. Until we meet again, let your truths arrive without fanfare and land with calm certainty.